Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talk to Tavleen Kaur about content editing. Hi, Tavleen. Thanks for accepting my invite to appear in this podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi Venkat, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good, thank you. It's great to know about you. Could you please go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. First, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to have this discussion with you. My name is Tavleen. I currently work as an editor at a publishing house in Noida, and I've been at this company for about 2 years now. Before this, I was working as a freelance editor. I was working on books, both fiction and non-fiction, and I was also editing content like website content for companies and any articles or basically any work that I will find to my interest. And yeah, that's majorly what I do.
Okay, great. So, as an editor right now in the publishing company, what are your roles and responsibilities?
So this depends on the kind of books you edit and the kind of publishing house you're in. So I edit mostly illustrated books. So my work involves updating travel guides. I work in the travel department in my company. So I edit the text and we also update a lot of information. So because we work on illustrated books, we work with a lot of people like designers, cartographers, fact checkers, and even other editors. So at least my work involves just working with a lot of people. My responsibilities are handling like an individual book on my own. A lot of project management stuff goes into this, and meeting deadlines and publishing it's really important. Besides working on the books, it's just making sure like the project is going smoothly and just coordination with various teams and not much else I would say besides working on the book. Like that's your major responsibility. There can be other things like if your company hosts like book launches or book events, then you can participate in that.
Okay, so these roles that you are playing as project manager for the book, this is after the book has been selected for publishing by your company, correct?
So we publish books internally. We don't really have authors. We publish travel guides in my department. So the guides are by the company itself. We don't have individual authors who are pitching in. So the company has already decided to publish these books. We have planned for them like months in advance. It's not like the company has decided to publish it and then I get the book. It's already planned. The company internally is publishing these books.
Understood. You mentioned that there are fact checking involved with the travel guides. How do you do the research, or do you leave the research to the people who are doing the fact checking?
Yeah, most of the research is done by the fact checkers. Our involvement can really vary from book to book. So yeah, it's mostly in alignment with the fact checkers who are usually people based on those countries or those states, those places where the book is going to be about. People who are either living there or have a lot of like knowledge of that area.
Pretty interesting. So, what are the countries that you usually deal with?
So we do work on a few guides. We have published a few guides from India. One is on India and just a few other guides of a few states in India. But most of our like list is Europe, America, or like most of the sales goes on like outside India, even though we do have a dedicated readership in India. But most of the guides we work on are like outside India.
Okay, great. In these days of Chat GPT, other Gen AI tools, do you use them in your work, or is it useful for your work?
Not yet, personally for me. I have heard from other editors, like other people, not my company people, just other editors in general who I've connected with through the years. And this is just a constantly ongoing discussion. Some people are experimenting, they're putting like their clients' work with permission, of course, into Chat GPT. Some are finding it useful, some are not. Personally, so far, I have not dabbled with Chat GPT. As for like my company, again, it's a very slow, ongoing process. Like we have not fully integrated AI right now, but there are just discussions ongoing around this. Like nothing really has happened yet. I would like to, I think, slowly start learning AI a bit by bit. If I'm being very honest, I'm still very skeptical because as an editor, it's like that's your thing. You enhance the book. So just thinking that an AI software will do all that you're doing, it's not a very great thought. But I think slowly everyone will have to learn it a little, and it can be useful for editorial work as well. And it can also be useful really in terms of doing research, I think.
Yeah, so research is something that I'm thinking it will be very useful
Mhm.
because the fact finders can use it extensively. In terms of editing, I am not really sure because there are a lot of nuances when you are editing things, and there might be some inputs which can be given only by a human. If a machine is involved, maybe it might be right, and there is a need to double check after the suggestion has been given by Gen AI. You will have to go back and check whether the writing provided by Gen AI is appropriate. So it is double the work actually, if you think about it in terms of editing part.
I agree. Because it's like, how much can you rely on it, right? You will again have to verify things on your own. So sometimes you think might as well trust your own judgment and not involve AI. But I'm not too sure because I've heard from friends who work in the content industry, like content writing and editing. They are fully using AI to both write and edit, and they're actually able to use it really well. Like they're finding it really useful and they're able to verify the information without putting in too much effort.
I have also heard feedback from content writers that the grammar or the words that are provided by Gen AI may not
Mm,
be appropriate or correct in some instances. I just saw one post in LinkedIn about it yesterday, and
mm.
it reminded me of the discussions that we are been doing about this, and to what extent we can use Gen AI for the purpose of content. So good that we talked about this in the podcast today. Let's talk about some of the unique challenges that you have in your work.
One of them is just, well, if I talk about the work I do full time, meeting deadlines and publishing overall, I think it's a challenge. There's something I've heard in other publishing houses as well. Sometimes not a lot of editors are on working on one book. Sometimes a one editor is handling a few books. So work-life balance can be a little bit of a challenge. But I won't say it's too bad for me. Other than that, one challenge I can think of, like previously, before I joined a publishing house full time, when I used to work as a freelancer with authors independently, is like when you're working with an author, like if you give them feedback and they're not very open to taking it, or they're really adamant about some point they want to make in the book, or some like grammatical point they are very sure about, but you think from a publishing perspective it needs to be edited, it needs to be in a different way. I think when you're working as an editor, understanding the author is very important, having a good rapport with them as well. That's a challenge I often look back on. Other than that, I'm not sure. I think also think that editing, just not just publishing, but editing overall and writing, but editing more so, does not pay as much as other industries or other jobs do. I think it's a little bit limited. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges.
Okay, in terms of working with authors, you mentioned that they push back the feedback. So, how do you handle that situation? How do you go about convincing the author that you are correct and it is needed for the work that you're doing?
I think personally, one thing, even though you will have a discussion with the author and try to put your point forth, is you as an editor have to remind yourself it's not your book, it's the author's book. So ultimately, the author has to be happy with what's going in the book. Even if you fully disagree with it, it's not your book, it's the author's name on there, and it's their story, whether it's fictional or non fictional. Other than that, I think really properly sitting down and explaining your point is very important. If you just type out a comment, let's say on a Google Doc, that this should be this and not that, the author may not fully grasp what you're saying. If you sit down with them, have a conversation on call properly, and explain to them, this is what I mean, this is how it should be changed, some readers may not like this, or this may not be appropriate for a particular audience or something. If you properly explain it to them in a very uh, gentle, polite, understanding way, I think that can make a difference. Because sometimes it's like you're working with people who are from different industries and backgrounds, different age groups. You're an editor of a different background. Someone may not understand your point, and you're also thinking about readership, who the readership is going to be, and the audience, how will they respond to this aspect of the book. So just having a very open conversation is really important, and it can make a difference. Then the author may see your point. Again, they may choose to accept the edit or not, which ultimately you have to be okay with, but you can try your best to explain it to them.
Fantastic. So, those are very valid points. Thank you for sharing them. Let's now talk about your hobbies and interests apart from the work. What do you do for fun?
It's always a difficult question for me because I really just turned one of my biggest hobbies into my career at a very young age. Like as a teenager, my hobby used to be reading. I interested in writing. I converted that into my career. So most of my hobbies are very interrelated. There's not something that stands out really, but I enjoy writing a lot. Not something I've been actively doing over the years, but trying to from time to time. I write poetry. I post it on my social media sometimes. It gives me a lot of joy. And other than that, I started learning Korean like 2 years ago. That has been really fun. And just your general hobbies like watching movies, going out, spending time with friends. I also like going out to events like book clubs or any kind of type of cultural events. I don't find a lot of time for much other than all this.
Great. So, when you said you are writing poetry, what kind of poetry do you write?
I mostly write personal poetry, right? Just from my experiences, my thoughts, and all that. It's not particularly any topic or not about any issue or a topic in general, just from personal experiences. It can be about living in your 20s, see the thoughts and feelings you have, sometimes about dreams, sometimes about love, sometimes about passion, just things like that.
Okay. Do you follow any format?
No, not at all. I do enjoy rhyming poems sometimes, but I don't strictly follow that. I think right now and the last few years, a lot of poetry has been not following the traditional form or any form in general. And I don't fully like write in a very verse kind of a way. I do sometimes follow a rhyme or try to stick to a format that looks more like poetry.
Great. So, I wish you all the best in your poetry, and maybe you could do
Thank
further
you.
research on poetry and what are the latest trends and contemporary poetry writing and all that. Tell us about your Korean language experience. How it has been? Is it difficult? Can you point to some resources where people can look at for Korean language learning?
Yeah, sure. I was always interested in learning languages, I think. I started learning French, I think in 2019 or 2020, I think the start of COVID, because I just always was interested in learning a foreign language, but it did not work out. I did one level from the French embassy, but the second one I just could not do it, so I had to like drop out because I think I realized learning a language is not going to be easy until you develop a genuine interest in it and until you find some media of that language that you're interested in, like music, songs, movies, books, something. So I was always interested in learning a language, but I was trying to force myself to learn French and it did not work out for me. Then I think around 2022, I think I started watching Korean dramas and movies and started listening to the music. So the urge to learn the language came to me very naturally. And So I started with a free hobby course. It's called like a hobby course. It's provided by the Korean Culture Center in India. There are various branches of the Korean Culture Center in India. There are about three to four. I started taking an online course. It was for free, where they just teach you the script, writing and reading the script. It's very easy and it's for free. So it's a very great resource that I will recommend to anyone who's interested in learning Korean. And I learned that. I started enjoying learning it even more. And I signed up for the first level, which was offline, and I learned it from the Delhi center. And it was like the some really few fun months of my life. If anyone who wants to learn any language, if you can join an offline course, I would highly suggest that. You're surrounded by people who are passionate about the language, and you get to learn from native speakers. And the embassy or the institute where you learn, they provide a lot of resources to learn as well. So that's how I started. It is not easy, I will be very honest, because doing something like learning a language with a job, and if you're doing other things as well, it's not easy. So I will not say I've been consistent. I've been learning on and off for 2 years. I've done 3 levels in all. I don't know when I'll resume learning, maybe next year in January. So, yeah, but it's a really, really fun and fulfilling experience, I will say, when you're genuinely interested in learning a language. And anyone who's interested in learning a language, they can really just start from YouTube, any free resource they find. Just learn the script or the first basic vocabulary from YouTube, and then immediately join a course. So you have the, like, you're dedicated towards learning it. If you completely leave it up to yourself, also, you may not find the motivation to learn it. So do join a course.
Great. So, what are you planning to do with your Korean language experience?
Once I think I've learned up to a certain level, then I'll start looking into opportunities. For example, there are always freelancing opportunities if you learn a language. I will be really open to finding work for like translation, translating subtitles of like videos or TV shows. And there are webtoons. Webtoons are like comics. You can also translate those. And anything, creating content, maybe just creating social media posts in Korean, I think that will be really fun. Other than that, uh, I'm not too sure, but I could go to Korea and do a course. Like some of my classmates are considering doing their masters in Korea. I'm not too sure if I will do that in the future, but I might. I'm considering a language learning course in Korea in the next few years. You can do like a 3 to 6 months course and learn the language like a higher level at one of the universities there. And you can really immerse yourself in the environment and learn the language. So, yeah, once I reach a certain level, I will look into all this.
Wonderful. Do you have any plans to get involved with the Korean film industry because it is so popular right now?
Yeah, yes, that's something I will love to, which is also why I'm happy I chose to learn this language, because I can see the demand for Korean translators is just getting increased every year. Like the institute that I will study from, the Delhi Center, and just the Korean Culture Center in general, when they open up their form, the seats get filled in like 5 minutes. So it's getting very competitive as well. Yeah, I will love to translate both webtoons, like comics, or movies or K dramas in the future. I will really enjoy that.
Wonderful. Great. Now let's move on and talk about some of the societal issues that you care about or that bothers you and you want to find a solution for them. Do you have anything like that?
I think one thing that I feel very strongly about, and I would love to do something regarding this in the future, is teaching, not teaching, but like just making people, young people, school kids, college kids aware of financial independence and the importance of it. I was very lucky that I could start earning, even if it was not much, from a very early age. when I was 16, 17 years old. I started freelancing. I will review books on the internet. Then I started content writing. By the time I finished my bachelor's degree, I had quite a few options to find a job and also freelancing options. But I saw some peers around me who were very confused. They didn't know what to do. And they also found, some of them did not find very great jobs they would get exploited in, not get paid a lot. So if there's one thing I could do is just teach or help, be a part of something that teaches students in college or high school how they can find something they're passionate about, or they can just learn a skill that they can monetize later. Because I just personally do not believe you have to work in a job that makes you absolutely miserable for years on end. Maybe for short term, if you have to do something like that because people have bills to pay, that's understandable. But I think some, or anyone can try to find a way to make a good living without being in a job that exploits them too much. And I feel this especially for women because just many reasons. A lot of my female friends and just women I see around me, when they're closer to, when they're in the late 20s or 30s, the pressures from families to get married, to quit their jobs or do something else, there's a lot of it. So I just think overall for everyone, financial independence is very important, and it should really start from an earlier age.
All right, let's move on. And do you have any questions for me as the podcast host?
Yeah, sure. How did the idea to record different people's journeys came to you, and like why did you become interested in this?
So I started as the author of a book, right? So I wanted to talk about my book, and there were different stories in the book that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to discuss this with different people. That was the starting point, but that's not the ultimate objective of what the podcast is right now. So
Mhm.
after a while, I realized that I also had a podcast with another contact who talked about arranged marriage situation in India and how people are getting forced to get married and all that. After that, I got this thought that I should start talking to people because different people have so many perspectives, and I wanted to provide a platform for people to come and express themselves, talk about their lives, their hobbies and interests, what they do, and their views on so many things. So I wanted to have a platform. So that is why this podcast has shaped up as a platform for people to come and talk about themselves. So that is how it has come to be.
Great, that's great. And what I like, I've seen your podcast list and you've talked to people from very different backgrounds. Is this something you've learned through this journey so far by talking to so many people from different backgrounds and different industries?
What is your question?
Yeah, like what have you learned through this journey by recording so many podcasts, talking to so many different people?
Really, actually, I'm not looking forward to learn anything from the podcast. It is not my objective. My objective is to give a platform for people to come and talk. I don't have anything to learn from this. It is, of course, a pleasurable thing to talk to people and getting to know their views and all that. But ultimately, I'm not looking for anything to learn from the podcasts.
Cool. That's okay.
Okay, it has been a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much for spending time with us in the podcast. I wish you all the best in your editorial work as well as the Korean language interest, and wish you all the best for your future. Take care and bye bye.
Great. Thank you. It was really fun having this conversation with you.
Bye for now. That was a great podcast with Tavleen Kaur. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.